Welcome to Teleperformance's exclusive podcast for Project at Home. My name is Audrey Thomas, Employee Engagement Coordinator, and I'm going to be hosting an exciting 10-session mini-series surrounding Project at Home. Every 2 weeks, we'll have a new guest speaker to discuss this initiative and different topics surrounding it. Now, some of you may be wondering, what is Project at Home? So today, we're going to answer that question along with how it got started, why it's so important to Teleperformance, and much more. Here to speak with us today, we have Sean Cook, Vice President of Client Operations, and he's going to tell us how he got started with Project at Home when it first launched a couple of years ago, exactly what the program is designed to be, and a lot more. So, Sean, I want to give first just a couple of minutes for you to kind of introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you before we fully jump into Project at Home.
Awesome. Thanks, Audrey, and thanks for letting me be a part of this. I appreciate that. So just a little bit about myself. I've been with Teleperformance now for about 10 and a half years. Had the opportunity to work with multiple sites and multiple projects and clients. My background prior to that, I came over to TP after working for 13 years at a telco company. And one of the main reasons that I came to TP was the people. I just love the people that I get to work for and with every day. And the reason is the passion. I mean, I have not met more passionate leaders and employees in my entire life. So excited to be a part of this. I think you'll also notice, Audrey, that I'm wearing my red today. It is Red Friday. In fact, every Friday we celebrate Red Day, which is Remember Everyone Deployed. So thanks for doing this and great timing for a Friday.
Absolutely. I love that. I didn't know we talked about, that Red Friday was still a thing. So I love that it ended up being on that day. So tell us a little bit about what Project at Home is. And that way everybody listening can get a better feel for what it is that we're talking about.
Sure. Yeah, so TP's Project at Home is really focused on expanding and targeting opportunities for military spouses and veterans by providing them a work at home solution that also allows them to relocate domestically to any state where TP does business with work at home, which currently is in 45 states. And so this allows them to continue employment with us and to continue to support their family. So that's really kind of the gist of what Project at Home is.
Absolutely. And I love, for everybody that is listening, I can't wait to really get into this series and learn more about it, because that is it hits home to me. I have quite a bit of family in the military, so this is a really cool initiative. I love it. And I think, Sean, you were involved in the actual true launch of Project at Home when it was, on a very small scale. So can you talk a little bit about when that did launch and what that initial vision was for the entire Project at Home?
Sure. Yeah, so it launched back in early 2017, so a little over 4 years now. And I happened to be on a project that was one of the first projects with a larger work at home base to give us this flexibility to be able to launch something like Project at Home. And it was really part of TP's vision and how can we help support the military community who already does so much to support us. Military families and veterans, they go through so much that frankly, we don't know all the things that they go through. And this just gives us that opportunity to provide them with support and steady employment for them as well. So I was excited to be a part of the launch and excited to still be talking about it 4 years later.
For sure. It is absolutely something that I'm glad that we're not only still talking about, but getting ready to ramp back up and scale back up. You actually introduced me to Project at Home when I came in to work for you. I don't think a lot of people know that you're my very first boss here. So it was really cool to come in. And like I said, to have a military family, I was really excited when I first signed on and happened to be on that same project that it was a really big deal. And that was one of the first things I learned about Teleperformance. So that was awesome. And, you talked about obviously giving back to the people that do so much for us, and which is absolutely what Project at Home is about. But there's a lot of reasons that this is so important to our company. So along with that piece of it, is there anything else that you would want to call out or mention on why it is so important to us to employ these military spouses and veterans?
Yeah, just to kind of keep it simple, the bottom line is we support military. As a company and as employees, we do all we can to support them. And There's so many reasons for that, but along with that, we have employees who are in the military. They're part of the reserve forces. They're part of a military family or veterans. So we've employed so many of those that they're part of our TP family. So that's why it's critical for us to continue to give back and do things like Project at Home to provide those opportunities.
100%. We do. It's a fairly large, like active and reserve military population that we have. And for those of you listening, we will learn more about that in the upcoming sessions on this series. We'll actually have a few of those people on to be guest speakers and get to hear more about those stories as well. So, Sean, when you first kicked off Project at Home, 4 years ago, like you said, you were on that project for quite a long time with that launch. And I know that you got to be, just right there in the middle of that happening. So do you have any really some of the success stories that you can share from that initiative first kicking off?
Yeah, sure. Actually, I have a couple of testimonials from some of our folks who went through Project at Home and the first couple of waves that we did with this and got just a lot of good feedback and frankly, heartwarming feedback considering what we're able to do with this. So one of the testimonials was really about that military spouse who was very nervous about this job. It was new to her. She had never done anything like this before, and she didn't have that experience. But she couldn't comment enough about how great the training was and how she was able to learn new skills in such a small amount of time, and then be ready for that position. And whether it's to take that first call or to do that first chat with that end customer, she was excited to do that. Another testimonial we had is really about how engaged leadership was so early on in the training, and talked about how several members of leadership already reached out to that person very early on in their employment with us and in their training experience, and how they were able to very quickly meet so much of our leadership team, being the trainers, the supervisors, our assistant call center managers, our call center managers, our directors even. They would all get involved and be a part of that training and get to know our Project at Home employees. So the fact that they were really impressed with the fact that they took time out to do that. And then finally, just hearing the testimonial about how TP has lived up to the promise of working with military families, and how we had somebody who has themselves not only experienced the military move, but they actually experienced that move while they were working with us, and we were able to help support them. And in their words, it was so stress relieving to focus on the move, knowing they had support during their absence at work. I mean, those are the types of things that really hit home and why we do Project at Home.
That's awesome. Like, I can even just, obviously not Project at Home related, but just with the entire, obviously we're still in a pandemic and we've moved so much of our workforce at home. That part of that testimonial hits home because so many people were worried about that transition. And we've, at least in so many experiences, it's been, so smooth and such a big adjustment, but leadership does go out of its way to make everybody feel comfortable and really give that extra support. So I think that happens across the board. And, the more military and veterans that we can get involved in that, I think is going to be awesome for our company. So we've said several times that you were a part of that initial launch. So the last thing I really want to talk about is just geared towards that specifically. Like, we know why we do it. We know why it's important, but can you share what it was like truly just being in the middle of that while it was happening and how it felt to be a part of a program like that getting started?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I didn't have firsthand experience of being a part of a military family. My father was a Marine, but it was prior to when I was born. So my older sisters went through it. And actually my wife, she's what some would call a military brat. She moved around quite a bit too when she was younger. So, I've been able to, people have shared those experiences with me, my family members. And then I also have several friends who have been or are currently deployed. So frankly, being a part of the launch and still being a part of this 4 years later, I'm just honored to be any part of it at all and to continue to be able to give back to the military community. So thanks to TP, and frankly, thanks to you for allowing me to express my gratitude for this.
Hey, 100%. You were my first choice when we started to kick this back off, because like I said, me and you, we worked together on Project at Home previously. So it was definitely when we started to really get this back out there, you were the first person that came to mind because you had an amazing big part in that. So thank you for being part of that. And obviously, we want to thank you for coming on today and being a part of the podcast and the kickoff in this. I know that you will be back to visit us throughout Project at Home. And for everyone who is listening, like I said earlier in the beginning, we are going to do these bi-weekly. So if you haven't subscribed to the Spotify channel for Teleperformance's podcast, please go and do that so that you are for sure you'll get those notifications every time we post something up new, because we have some really awesome stuff coming up and some really, really good guest speakers that will really dive into some very deep parts of this Project at Home initiative and what, why we're doing it, why it's important, and to keep it going. So again, Sean, thank you for being here. It was great getting to sit down and chat with you. We don't get to do that very often unless somebody gets married and, we get to hang out for a few minutes at a wedding. But
thanks, Audrey. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Bye.